Welcome to our video series, Hiding Behind the Mask, Conversations on Shame and Narcissism, combining psychological and spiritual perspectives. This is a 12-part series moderated by Dr. Kristen Seavey and featuring the insight of Reverend Robert Hirschfield, Episcopal Bishop of New Hampshire, and Dr. Patricia Gianotti, clinical psychologist and author. Each video segment will begin with a brief introduction by Dr. Seavey, where she will describe an overview of the content material. At the end of each section, a set of questions will appear on your screen. These questions are meant for personal reflection, or you may use the questions as a springboard for small group discussion. We hope you enjoy this series. And now, Dr. Seavey.
This section is a response to the question, how does one recover from narcissism? Both speakers describe relationships, therapy, a clergy relationship, or being in a group with safe leadership where we can experience empathy for the injuries that gave rise to compensatory styles.
You both talked with great honesty about the shame that lies at the root of narcissism, and I thought I would ask, what does a recovering narcissist look like?
What does a recovering narcissist look like?
Yeah.
Real self.
What are the steps out of that?
There are a lot of healthy people that seek therapy that have some wounding inside of them, and the recovery process is much quicker. I think that one of the things that I would say is a start is that you join with somebody so you cut through their sense of isolation. And you're there to create a safe holding environment so that they can become gradually more real with you, so they can reveal more of their brokenness, as Rob says, more of their vulnerability. But out of that process, they also discover more of their wisdom, more of their internal brilliance, things that they never quite gave up on themselves in terms of their hopes and dreams. And then you see that beginning to come forward. And for a period of time, you see a little bit of both. You see some of the old patterns mixing with some of the new behaviors and some of the risk-taking to try something new, or a little bit of confronting where you were afraid to confront before, or a little bit of standing up for yourselves in a way that you were, hiding behind something. And there's a back and forth that happens. And through that whole period, you're sitting as witness, you're sitting as deep listener. I mean, I think part of why my colleague Jack and I wrote our two books is that you can never teach a therapist enough how to become a better listener. Because what we're always doing is, when we're listening, is we're beginning to formulate assumptions. And we formulate assumptions, we begin to formulate hypotheses. And we formulate hypotheses, we stop listening. And we want to start telling. And so part of what I've learned in the many years I've been practicing, and part of what this book is about how to listen more carefully and how to ask better questions, so that you can understand more fully your client's unique experience, because we can never know until we ask enough and listen carefully enough. And that is a formula that we can all be doing with each other, with our friendships, in any arena. Listen more carefully, because we are so quick to form assumptions. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
I think I want to just say something about what you just said, Patricia, because I've been thinking about cell phones and I've been thinking about news feeds and how addicted people are to sort of being bombarded by negativity in the world and getting overwhelmed by it and anxious and feeling hopeless. What can I do to, put my finger in the dike of all this negativity? And I talk to my clients about turning off their phones and taking news off their phones, not numbing themselves to this sort of onslaught that feels, it's so big and so much bigger than we are. It makes us feel small, and like nothing we can do can really make a big difference. Putting them away at home, being more structured about how you manage that in all of these intimate places in life, so that people don't get anesthetized to their own experience. How do you listen well to someone else if you're not able to even listen to yourself?
I have one. It's sort of, since you asked that question, what does a recovering narcissist look like? And I've been kind of scanning my own history and, times when I've been sort of knocked off my throne or my pedestal, and how those have been moments of tremendous grace, even though, I wouldn't choose it on anybody. But I've also been thinking about, as you're listening, who are there examples in literature or film, and thinking of, for some reason, Ebenezer Scrooge comes to mind, as one who has this kind of pivot. But more recently, I've been struck by. Has anyone read the novels of Louise Penny?
Yes. Armand Gamache.
Armand Gamache, and I think this is the kind of an antidote to narcissism. Is Armand Gamache is a Quebecois chief detective for the what seems to me like the Canadian FBI or something like that, and he seems to always get the narcissists and the most headstrong young detectives who are his trainees. And they're kind of, sometimes they're on the spectrum, they don't have many, people skills are kind of off, or they already made a decision about things, and he says there are four sayings that lead to wisdom. And I sometimes think if only if our religious leaders, our political leaders could adopt these 4 sayings, it would be the magic healing to narcissism. You could just put this in. And the 4 sayings are, I was wrong, I'm sorry, I don't know, I need help. There's another one, if I preach this, that people are asking, could you repeat those for me? And it's like, so I was wrong, I'm sorry, I don't know, I need help. I mean, they reflect a kind of vulnerability, a humility. I don't have all the answers. Sometimes you got to show up, and you got to come you got to be the sheriff. You got to be able to say, stop, still, I want to feel what you're going through, or my extended hand. You need to be more the firm. But sometimes what's needed right now in a culture of narcissism, which I think was a book way back, which is highly guarded, highly defended, are these 4 sayings. And so it's Louise Penny.
Yeah, she's great.
Who I think her own personal history as being one in recovery.
Yes.
So that kind of reforms or informs this character.
It's so powerful for a person in leadership to say those things as well, and for people who recognize their position of leadership, having so much power to use those words in a way that, sort of disarm people. I share a lot of my own vulnerabilities with my clients in ways that I hope are appropriate.
Yeah.
But that I think really, sort of demystify me. I mean, I'm the leader in the room, and but I'm a human being and struggling with the same stuff.
Well, it doesn't it evince, it kind of displays a certain security. Even if you're being humble, you're also saying, I'm strong enough to say I'm sorry.
I mess up all the time.
I screwed up. Show me how. I could do better.
I used to have enormous stage fright. And I was a little nervous about this, partly because I was going to be on stage with the bishop, but
you're so scary.
It's so scary.
He's so scary. But I think that when I was comfortable saying to people, if someone would ask a question, when I was comfortable saying, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
It took so much pressure off.
It's so freeing. It's so freeing.
Got me.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
So, I mean, several of you have asked those questions, and it was like, okay, I need some help from all of you because I don't have the answers. I don't know. But that's around that humility and limitation.
The following questions are meant to stimulate personal reflection or small group discussion. We encourage you to capture a screenshot of these questions and use them for future reference. To order Dr. Gianotti's books, please contact the following websites. And Reverend Hirschfield's book is available through churchpublishing.org.